Hi, my name is Tom Driscoll, and I'm a social studies teacher in Putnam, Connecticut. I'm also a blended learning specialist through the Highlander Institute and a contributing author to 3 books on instructional technology, such as Flipping 2.0 and the new ISTE publication, Flip Learning Gateway to Student Engagement. All right, so as far as gamification, my quest to this point has started out with Flip 101 back in 2011. That's where I started a first experiment with my classroom time and shifting some direct instruction to video. Then in 2012, I pushed a little bit further. I read up on John and Aaron's Flip Mastery system, so I started to implement the Flip Mastery class in my world history courses. And that changed things fundamentally. That's really what fundamentally shifted the nature of the learning environment in my classroom. However, there were still some things lacking. I thought that some students were still kind of going through the motions, even in this mastery system, and I wanted to really up the engagement and motivation of the kids. So probably spring of 2013 into the summer, I started to experiment with some gamification principles. I realized that a mastery system was already set up in a lot of ways like a game, particularly with the leveling of moving through a series of objectives. So I went to a summer conference in New York called the Games in Education Symposium, and I saw a session by Lee Sheldon of RPI. And in a way, he's kind of the guru of a lot of the game design concepts for education. So I read his book, I looked up ways that people around the country were doing it, and then in this last fall in 2013, I decided to gamify my Flip Mastery course. So what I did is I applied a leveling system to the mastery system, which in a way was already set up with levels, but I just had to rename it with new terminology. Then I set up achievements and badges for students. Instead of having class averages, we used an XP system, or points through attrition. I set up students in different guilds, so they had team missions where they had some solo quests, but also some where they had to work with partners. And then I set up a running leaderboard, both for individuals, for guilds, and then for classes, so that they could actually compete with each other individually and with groups. And then lastly, I put a system of avatars and narratives into this, so I tried to create a storyline for the course in which it wasn't just, accruing points, but what they were doing actually fit into this larger narrative of what was happening throughout the year. Still a work in progress on that part, but I think that has a lot of potential as well as creating an overall story and narrative to your course. What excites me about this is it's very clear that a lot of students are more motivated and engaged in their learning once you apply some of these game design concepts to it. Although it may not work for everyone, it's certainly a differentiation strategy that you could use to get to those kids that just really aren't motivated by the content itself and just need to engage with it in a different way. Another thing that excites me is the emergent technology that's coming out. So for instance, 3D Game Labs and its platform to gamify your course, and also some things like augmented reality, the Oculus Rift that's coming out. A lot of these things are making it so that we can really create a more immersive gamification environment in our classrooms. So if you want to learn more about my gamified class, you want to connect with me in general about anything education, you can find me on Twitter at @mr_Driscoll, and also check out my website, Flip-History. I have a series of gamification posts on how I gamified the class, as well as some videos of past workshops and Google presentations that I make available on there as well for anybody who'd like to connect. All right, level up.